Before we get into it, let me show you some of the reviews people have left for the Google Pixel 10a on Amazon. Because sometimes buyers just get it. 5 stars. Quote, "The camera is so good it photographed my self-esteem leaving my body when I saw my pores in 4K. 5 stars, I think. Okay. 5 stars. Quote, "Google Assistant answered my question before I finished asking it. I don't know if I feel understood or surveilled. Probably both. Valid. 5 stars." Quote, "Battery lasts so long I forgot I owned a charger. Found it under the couch. It had started a family. Fair enough. 1 stars. Quote, 1 star. The AI is too smart. It suggested I take a break when I was doom scrolling. I did not purchase a therapist. 5 stars. Quote, "Switched from iPhone. My friend said I'd regret it. My friends are wrong about everything and this proves it. Noted. 2 stars. Quote, 2 stars. Phone is great, but now my old photos look terrible by comparison and I have to relive 2014 in standard definition. Respect." Alright, let's actually get into the Google Pixel 10a review. Here's something nobody told you about the Google Pixel 10a. It's running a chip from last year wrapped in plastic, and it's somehow one of the most satisfying phones I've picked up in 2026. That shouldn't work. And yet, after 2 weeks of daily use, I genuinely had to remind myself what this thing costs. Stick around because this one is worth your full attention. Alright, for the folks who need the short version, the Pixel 10a earns a solid 8.5 out of 10. The display is gorgeous, the camera punches well above its weight class, and you're getting 7 years of software updates on a phone that costs less than most flagship phones cost just for a screen repair. The Tensor G4 chip isn't going to break any speed records, and wireless charging is a bit slow compared to the Pro lineup, but in everyday real-world use, you probably won't notice either of those things. Best sub $500 Android phone right now? Almost certainly yes. Now let's dig into why. Out of the box, the first thing you notice is how surprisingly premium this feels for a plastic-bodied phone. Google has clearly put thought into the finish. It's a matte texture that resists fingerprints and actually feels deliberate rather than cheap. The phone itself is slim and light, genuinely pocket-friendly in a way that a lot of modern phones have completely forgotten how to be. Inside the box you get the phone, a USB-C cable, a SIM ejector tool, and some paperwork. No charger in the box, which is pretty standard these days but still worth knowing before it arrives. The screen has a pre-applied thin film protector, which is a nice touch at this price point. Gorilla Glass 7i is underneath that, so you've got real drop protection working in your favor. The buttons feel clicky and well placed. The USB-C port is centered on the bottom, and the speaker grill is clean. First impressions? This thing looks like it costs more than it does. Google's industrial design team clearly didn't get the memo that this was supposed to be the budget option. Let's talk specs, but only the ones that actually matter to how this phone feels in your hand every single day. Display first. 6.3-inch OLED panel with a 120Hz adaptive refresh rate. In plain English, that means buttery smooth scrolling that automatically adjusts to save battery when you don't need it. Colors are vibrant, blacks are deep, and outdoor visibility is genuinely strong. This screen would be impressive in a phone costing twice as much. The chipset is the Google Tensor G4. Yes, that's last generation silicon. But here's the thing, Google's Tensor chips are optimized specifically for AI and camera processing, not raw benchmark scores. For real-world tasks like browsing, streaming, multitasking, and photography, the G4 keeps up without breaking a sweat. Cameras. You've got a 48-megapixel main shooter and a 13-megapixel ultra-wide on the back, plus a 13-megapixel front camera for selfies and video calls. We'll get into camera performance more in a moment, but the headline is that Google's computational photography magic is fully present here. Battery capacity is solid for the form factor, and while wireless charging is supported, it tops out slower than the Pro models. Wired charging is the way to go when you need a quick top-up, and again, 7 years of guaranteed OS and security updates. That alone makes this phone a genuinely long-term investment. So how does the Tensor G4 actually perform when you're living with this phone? Honestly, better than the spec sheet would suggest. Day to day, this phone is fast, fluid, and responsive. Apps open quickly, multitasking is smooth, and I never caught it stuttering or hesitating during normal use. Where you might notice the older chip is in sustained heavy workloads, think extended gaming sessions or running multiple demanding apps back to back for a long time. In those scenarios, it can get a touch warm and occasionally throttle a little. But for the vast majority of what most people do with their phones, social media, streaming, navigation, camera, messaging, the G4 handles everything confidently. The AI features built into Android on this phone are genuinely useful. Call screening, live translate, magic eraser, and photos, these all run locally on the Tensor chip and they work well. The software experience is clean, fast, and bloat-free. No manufacturer skin to fight through, just stock Android doing what stock Android does best. Battery life in my testing was solid across full days of moderate use. Heavy days pushed me to reach for the charger by evening, but average days had me at 20 to 30% by bedtime consistently. The adaptive display definitely helps stretch things out throughout the day. Let's talk about where this phone genuinely shines, because there are three areas where it's easy to get excited. First, the camera. Google's computational photography is the real deal, and it's fully baked into the Pixel 10a. Low light photos that would be a blurry mess on a competing phone at this price come out clear, detailed, and naturally colored. Night sight, real tone skin tone accuracy, and the AI assisted zoom all work beautifully. I took this phone to a dimly lit restaurant, snapped some photos, and came away genuinely impressed every single time. For a lot of people, the camera alone justifies the purchase. Second, the display. A 120Hz OLED at this price point is not something you should take for granted. Scrolling through your feed, watching videos, reading, everything just looks and feels premium. The brightness is strong enough for outdoor use, and the colors are calibrated beautifully out of the box. This is a screen you'll enjoy every single day. Third, the software and update promise. 7 years. Google is committing to 7 years of OS updates and security patches on this phone. That's remarkable at any price, let alone under $500. You're not going to be left behind in 2 years on this device. For people who want a phone they can trust for the long haul, that commitment is genuinely hard to match from any other Android manufacturer. Now let's be honest about the trade-offs, because no phone is perfect and you deserve the full picture. The biggest real-world limitation is the camera system's lack of optical zoom. You've got a main lens and an ultra-wide, but there's no dedicated telephoto. Digital zoom works reasonably well thanks to Google's processing, but if you regularly shoot subjects at a distance, wildlife, sports, concerts, you will feel that missing lens. The Pixel 10 Pro has it, this does not. Second con, wireless charging speed. Yes, wireless charging is here, and that's great, but it's meaningfully slower than what the Pro models offer. If you're someone who relies on wireless charging as your primary method and you need a fast top-up before heading out, that slower speed will occasionally frustrate you. It's not a deal breaker, but it's a daily reality. Third, the under-display fingerprint sensor can be slightly finicky. It works most of the time, but wet fingers or awkward angles occasionally force a second attempt. It's not the fastest or most reliable implementation I've tested, and given how often you unlock your phone throughout the day, that small friction adds up. A side-mounted sensor would have been smoother. These are genuine trade-offs worth knowing before you buy. Alright, let's hear from people who are actually living with this phone day to day, because real buyer feedback always tells you things a review can't. One buyer wrote, "I switched from a phone that cost 3 times as much, and honestly, I don't miss it. The camera is ridiculous for the price, and my battery lasts all day. My wallet is very happy." Another reviewer left this gem. "Gave this to my dad to replace his ancient phone. He called me to say the camera takes pictures like a professional. He then sent me 47 photos of the backyard. The Pixel 10a is too powerful and I have too many bird photos now." And a third buyer said, "The screen is stunning, the software is clean, and knowing I'm getting updates for 7 years means I can stop dreading that conversation with myself every 2 years. Genuinely the smartest phone purchase I've made in years." That mix of practical satisfaction, real-world performance praise, and the occasional unintended consequence of giving your parents a great camera, that's a pretty solid picture of who loves this phone. So where does all of this land? The Google Pixel 10a earns its 8.5 out of 10 honestly. It's a phone that over-delivers at its price point in the areas that matter most to most people. Buy it if you want a clean Android experience with no bloat, a legitimately impressive camera system, a gorgeous OLED display, and 7 years of support, all without spending flagship money. Skip it if you absolutely need optical zoom, the fastest chip available, or top-tier wireless charging speeds. In those specific cases, save up for the Pro or look at a different flagship. For everyone else, this is one of the easiest phone recommendations I've made this year. The link to check current pricing is in the description below. Drop a comment below. Are you picking up the Pixel 10a or are you holding out for something else? I want to know what you're thinking. If this review saved you some time and helped clarify the decision, hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel. And subscribe if you want a new honest, no fluff review dropping every single week. See you in the next one.